Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to be reviewing Remembrance of the Daleks, which was sent to me recently by one of my patrons, Colin Coney, which I really appreciate. I've mentioned on the channel how much I've been wanting to rewatch Remembrance again, and it was on my wish list, so he went ahead and sent that to me as a Christmas present, because I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. And I have gone through it. I've done reviews for episodes 1 and 2. I ended up watching episodes 3 and 4 back to back, because I kept getting interrupted during episode 3. People wishing me Christmas wishes, and then my best friend was arranging for a get-together. That's actually what I did this morning. I went and spent Christmas Eve this morning with him and his family. He's the one with 4 kids. So it's nice to catch up with him and his wife, and his wife's parents as well. When we were all visited over at his in-laws' house. And that was fun, but I ended up, by the time I finished episode 3 and finished all the conversations I was having that day, I couldn't remember a lot of episode 3. So I said, well, I'll go ahead and watch episode 4, and I'll just do the reviews together. So, part 3, I love his little rainbow gun, the little thing that kind of throws the Daleks off and confuses them for a few seconds. I call it the rainbow gun. I love that little effect it does. The 13th Doctor would love the rainbow gun. That would be her gun. I think if there's one great loss in the Whittaker era is that we never got to see her use the rainbow gun on a Dalek. Because she would have loved that. So it's cool he got to use it. And I like how he's like, it works. And they're like, get down, we're about to blow up the Daleks. I do like the cliffhanger of the episode with the glass breaking for part 3 as the Dalek ship lands. And I do like how we hear McCoy warning her, Ace, get away from the windows. And he actually does it in a more proper yell, not that false voice that McCoy goes into sometimes when he's yelling. That always bugs me. I mentioned that in my review for part 1. And I've talked about it in other videos. He goes into that falsetto voice sometimes when he's yelling that comes off as very fake. He almost goes into it, but doesn't quite. It's much more of a natural yell when he's like, Ace, get away from the window. That to me is a much more proper yell. And I just made note of it as it happened. And plus, it's just a good cliffhanger on its own with the ship landing. I love the 2 women that work for UNIT, the scientist and then the other one, how they keep kind of mocking the group leader. Like, they're like, all right, come on, we're leaving. One of them's like, yeah, bo. Because they do it in that kind of cheeky way, because he is a bit stern and by-the-book military person, that stereotypical military leader. And like he gets their attention later in the episode. Like, come on! And they snap, like the way they stomp their foot, they kind of, they kind of do that German snap to attention. It's very subtle, but I like it because I like when Doctor Who does that. I like when it does, it doesn't have to call a lot of attention to the, joke basically they're making at his expense. Come on, we're leaving. They're just, click of the heels. That amused me. It's a lot better than, say, Jodie Whittaker talking directly to the screen for what feels like 30 minutes. The audience, classic Doctor Who usually understands that its audience is intelligent and can figure out what it's trying to tell you, So I'm not saying they don't always get that right. They usually do. So that was a little funny, the way they were kind of picking at him. I enjoyed that. There was something else about episode 3 I liked. It's escaping me at the moment. Like, to be honest, parts of 2 and 3 are blurring kind of together now. I do like, it's either in part 3 or the beginning of part 4, when Mike actually does ask Ace out to the movie, let's go see a movie sometime. She's like, I've probably seen them on telly anyway, because, they're 20 years in the past. But I think it's a little adorable. He's obviously kind of interested in her, and at that point, she kind of seemed to think he was cute. So that was kind of fun. Of course, he gives himself away when he mentions the Hand of Omega, and they're like, how do you know about that? And he's like, Ace told me. She's like, you lying sack of... I like how Ace isn't putting up with it. Ace, you cross her one time, it's over. It's over. You do kind of see in this story that the Doctor and Ace, while they get on well, they do have this kind of relationship where he's a little stern with her. He doesn't tell her everything, which is trademark 7th Doctor. He is a bit I'm the one in charge. Sometimes I need you to do what I say without question. It doesn't quite have that friendly rapport with, like, say, John and his companions, like Joe and Sarah, or Tom and Sarah, or even Tom and Leela, where even though Tom and Leela did have kind of that mentor thing, it's a little more stern with McCoy and Ace, where it's still definitely a mentor thing, but he's quick to get on to her, tell her to calm down. Hey, all right, calm down. I like when he tells her to wait, and of course she doesn't wait, and she leaves. That's actually another really good moment where it's subtle, when she, keeping in mind they're in 1963, when she finds the sign, the no colors sign on it, and that scene, it's one of those scenes that doesn't necessarily have to be there, because it does feel like it could have been something that was just edited out and used as a deleted scene. But it being there is done so well because it's able to get across its message without any dialogue. Because you see when Ace sees it, the no color sign, or no colored sign, whatever it says, and you see that kind of look of disgust on her face. Sophie does a really good job where you can just see, even in profile, that look of disgust on her face. And then she leaves. She's like, you know what? I gotta get out of here. I'm not comfortable in this place with their views. I like the fact that it's able to communicate its message there without any dialogue. Again, I don't have Jodie Whittaker talking directly to the screen for 30 minutes, what feels like, saying, hey, just in case you didn't get it, I'm here to tell you, classic Remembrance of the Daleks. Ben gets that the audience is intelligent enough to figure out the point. And it's just a nice little scene, and I love the fact it gets it across without having to bash it over your head. I like that. I did enjoy that. Moving on. Episode 4 is good. Again, I like the little girl in this. Now, her actual dialogue when she talks isn't the best. It's not bad. It's a child actor or actress. She's fine. But she is really good at doing a lot with her face. Her face does a lot. She's been good throughout the whole story of communicating with her face. That very emotionless and this piercing gaze she has, this kind of intelligence you see behind the eyes. Every time in the story you've seen her before it's revealed, just how involved she is in the plot, you always knew there was something off about this girl. There's something going on with her. And I love at the end, you see her throwing like lightning out of her hands. I'm like, snap. She's just like, boom. She kills a couple people with the lightning. And you know that Mike's dead because the camera work does a good job of doing a close-up of Mike's face like twice. And he's just, you're like, we got it. He's dead. That's some powerful electricity. And I like when she goes upstairs in the room with Ace and she sees Ace. She just kind of has this smile on her face like, you're gonna die. But it's interesting too, trying to learn maybe how much the Daleks had control over her. When the one Dalek dies, it kind of breaks its control over her, and she's upset and on the ground, and Ace is comforting her. So you realize how much of that was just the Daleks manipulating and controlling her, which is kind of dark when you think about it, as the McCoy era is at times. And some people, anytime I hear that people talk about the McCoy era being campy and silly, I'm like, you've watched Time in the Running, and that's it. The McCoy era is pretty dark. The shootout, I really like. The shootout between the Renegade Daleks and the Imperial Daleks. I really enjoy anytime they're having shootouts on camera. And I love the fact, I mentioned this in another review, that they have different colored blast effects. The Renegade Daleks have the traditional green, whereas the Imperial Daleks have the orange blast. I like that, so you can kind of keep up who's firing at who. I forgot how much I love the Special Weapons Dalek, because I forgot how much damage it actually does in this. I remember it being there. I don't remember it doing a lot. My goodness, it does a lot. It shoots one blast, and you just see Renegade Daleks blowing up. I'm like, I like the Special Weapons Dalek. Why have we not gotten the Special Weapons Dalek back as more than like a prop? I know it showed up in Asylum of the Daleks in the background. We need to see like the Special Weapons Dalek actually show back up and be like, I'm here to exterminate and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of the bubblegum, and I don't have a mouth. Where do I exterminate first? I want the special weapons Dalek back, because I just loved watching that bad boy just throwing down, blowing people up. I liked it. The time manipulation device is funny because it's just that ball. You remember those back in the 80s and 90s? You know, all the kids thought they were the coolest things. You know, had the little electricity in the globe, and you could put your fingers on it, and it would kind of trace it. And it was a cool, neat little thing when you were a kid back then. And it just occurred to me, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Like a long time. I don't even know if they make those anymore. I haven't seen one in forever. But they were the coolest, neat little thing, you know, growing up. I remember those. So to kind of see that as a major thing in the episode, it's like it's kind of silly, but it's kind of cool to see one again, having not seen one in forever. So I got kind of a kick out of that. And then, of course, the scene at the end when the doctor talks a Dalek into committing suicide. I mean, in the Dalek, I like how they kind of keep that in the episode Dalek, where the Dalek's not sure what to do because he doesn't have orders. It mentions that even in Dalek in the modern show. You know, where will I get my orders now? So I love the Dalek at first. It's like, not getting orders, need input, you know. And of course, McCoy is like, I love when he walks up, you know, that stern look on his face, like when he's walking toward the Dalek. You know, and then he's just like, I've defeated you. Your planet is gone. Your people are gone. Even Davros is dead. And he literally talks the thing into killing itself. And then he just calmly does his, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and then blows the dust off his umbrella. I'm like, okay, and this is the seventh Doctor, the one some people are like, oh, the silly Doctor, the clownish Doctor, the campy Doctor. And I'm like, I just watched him talk a Dalek into committing suicide. Which even for the Doctor is a very undoctored thing to do. Especially when he thinks this might be the last one. You know, the Doctor is not really into genocide. And we just watched him coldly, with this cold look on his face, talk it into doing it. When are people going to learn that the seventh Doctor is one of the darkest Doctors of them all? Arguably the darkest Doctor of them all. Ignore the outfit and just look at his actions a lot of times. You know, I like how stoic he is at the end, at the funeral, when he's like, you know, time to leave. She's like, we did good, didn't we? Time will tell. It always does. You know, McCoy has a lot of those stern, I'm the Doctor, don't screw with me moments. And then finding out he's manipulated all of these events, that he's manipulated the Daleks. He's manipulated Davros. That conversation with Davros at the end is always going to be epic. That's really the first time we see this side of McCoy. Like, he's serious in some of season 24, like Paradise Towers. He's actually pretty calm in Paradise Towers. He's not timing the Ronnie McCoy in Paradise Towers. He's pretty stern even in it. But this is the first time you realize just how much of the chess master he is and how manipulative he can be when he finally reveals to Davros and to the audience that he set all of this up and that he wanted them to really have the hand. And that he tricked Davros in destroying Skaro completely, at least supposedly. I don't know how it's back later, but whatever. You know, that whole conversation, and the fact he's not putting up with any of it. Conquer the lesser races, unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc. I love how he's mocking Davros there. You know, he's like, I've heard it all before. And McCoy does such a good job with that. And I love at the end, have pity on me, I have pity for you. Goodbye, Davros. It hasn't been pleasant. And I actually love the fact that it keeps it on the shot, so you see him lean forward and turn it off. Some of that look on his face as he's leaning forward and turning it off is just like the cherry on the top of that for me. He's just click. Really well done by Sylvester McCoy. And I love the reveal of it actually being Davros as the Emperor Dalek, which is something I know they played with more in Big Finish, even though it was kind of ignored when we got, you know, him back in 2008 and the Journey's End two-parter. But yeah, I like Remembrance. It's still not perfect. All of the things I mentioned in the first two reviews still irk me. The episode 1 finale is good, but the resolution to it at the beginning of episode 2 takes way too long. That Dalek takes that long to get up the stairs and blast the door. You know, they could have been sitting there having tea and, yes, how's the weather today? How's your mother? Yeah, we're doing fine. Oh, the Dalek's going to be up the stairs in about 30 minutes. Let's keep an eye on the clock. And then other little things. Again, the fact that it plays that little children's song every time we see the little girl gets extremely annoying. I don't mind the first time because she is actually saying it, you know, like the 7, 8, the doctor's at the gate, which is a great clue in that there's more to her than meets the eye, and that obviously she knows that's the doctor, so somehow she's involved. And then it plays the little theme right after that, which fits, it's fine. But it's the fact it continues to do it like every time we see her. And I'm like, that's really annoying. But it's good. I like Remembrance of the Daleks. My opinion of it really hasn't changed. I still think it's a great story. I think it's a great Dalek story. It's a great McCoy story. I just think it's overrated. It has these little flaws that bug me. And Mike as a character, the actor playing him, is okay. I'm always suspicious of him for some reason. And then having the group leader instead of the brigadier is always going to bother me. I'd rather have the brigadier back. But he's fine. I do like the scientist lady and the other one that's with her. They're usually together. I did like both of them. I like the fact that the scientist lady's basically like, look, we need to talk to him. He knows what's going on. I do love I love the concept of a Dalek Civil War. I mean, we really saw that kind of start in Resurrection when we saw it further developed in Revelations, but we really see it come to a head here. And I do enjoy that. I love the fact they have their own distinct looks in and out of the shells. The fact that, you know, the Renegade ones are more like the traditional blobs, whereas the other ones have had like engineering done and biomechanical stuff added. The fact that the reason they're at war is the Daleks are so prejudiced that they feel like the other Daleks have been mutated and modified so much that they're not really Daleks anymore. And we see this, you know, later. I love the fact this is something that comes up later in the modern series, like in Victory of the Daleks, when the new Daleks are born. The first thing they do is kill all of the old Daleks because they don't consider them pure Daleks. And the fact that even the old Daleks don't consider themselves pure Daleks. And the new Daleks are like, are you prepared? And they're like, we are ready. Like Matt Smith said, hey, what do you do to the ones that mess up? And we see that again in Revolution of the Daleks with the 13th Doctor, which is a really good story. Say what you want about Chris Chibnall, but he's really good at doing Dalek stories, I will admit. The fact that when the real Daleks show up, they see the other Daleks and they're like, not real Daleks. Blah, 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 blah. Again, I like when that continuity stays on point. You know, and we see that right here. You know, the Renegade Daleks and the Imperial Daleks don't see each other as Daleks, so you know, boom goes the dynamite, so to speak. It's a good story. I like Remembrance. Again, has flaws, but definitely enjoyed my rewatch of it. The blast effect. I think some of the special effects need some updating. But other than that, it holds up really well. So, Remembrance of the Daleks. What do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. I want to give a shout out to Colin Coney. I appreciate him sending this to me. I also appreciate him and Stephen Crane and Finn Perkins for continuing to be some of my top tier patrons on Patreon. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support of all of my other patrons as well. It really does help me keep bills paid and all that fun stuff. If you would like to support me on that, link to my Patreon is in the description below. I also have my P.O. box down there if there's anything you would like to send me, and a link to my Amazon wish list, and my Amazon UK wish list is down there as well. And I would appreciate if you enjoyed this video, if you click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out, and I'm always trying to grow the channel, and I certainly appreciate that. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.